Hey guys, Mike Roberts, the Converse Cowboy podcast. Just a little follow up from the Buster Frierson interview. It was really a pleasure to sit down with Buster and see that there are genuine human beings out there, that still exist. Just from the minute I reached out to him, he was very welcoming and was all about sitting down and doing the interview and wanted to share his experiences and things that he's been through in life that got him to where he is today. This whole journey, this whole tour of the seven people that we sat down with was an experience that I'll never forget. And so when we talk about money, I brought it up with Buster and what does money mean to him? It's something that we need in life, and for me, it's I look at it as a way to provide me the experiences that I may not be able to have if I didn't have the money, right? So it's not like at one time I thought if I could just get this much money, like it was just a monetary goal. And then you get to that point and you're looking around like, now what? What the hell do I do? So there has to be a very strong why, at least for me. And again, these are just my experiences. These are my beliefs and what I think and what's true to me. And so for me, money is something that it allows me to adventure, it allows me to go meet new people, it allows me to experience the world. And so I think understanding that conceptually, it's almost like it's a peace of mind in a way. You're not just chasing a dollar, you're not just chasing the carrot. I have nothing against money. I think it is very important. And I'm no different than most people in the sense that, yes, I want more money, and I have no guilt in saying that. I want to make as much money as possible, but I know why I want to do that. And so that is my motivating factor, is to go experience the world and be able to adventure and meet new people. And so everybody's going to be different, with their definition of what money means to them, And so for Buster, I feel like what I got from that was he is doing what he loves to do as long as he's got enough money to put food on the table and do the things that he likes to do. I think he's fine with it, and he's doing the range hand meat. He's doing Bison Union. He's doing a number of different things that provide him that opportunity. And so, like I said, I think everybody's definition for money is going to be different, and that's fine, But as long as you know why you're hustling, you're out there busting your ass, and not just chasing that carrot, I think that's the most important thing. I mentioned it in that Instagram post, and Buster is a very good blend of the old school cowboy, the old traditions, but also with a very progressive mindset, and I think that's something that's built over time. I think that's a character, that's a personality trait. And he mentioned, having young kids come work for him, and you can very easily tell, in my business, I can tell those people that are hungry, that want to learn and they want to be the best that they can be. And that's not a judgment on my part. That's just an observation, and because I can see myself in some of those kids. When they come around. And just like Buster said, those people that come out and they're hustling and they're hungry and they're asking questions, I think that it resonates. You tend to, at least for me, I want to help those people. And that is how we learn. That is how we grow. For me, by surrounding myself with those people. So Joe Rogan mentions that in a podcast, in order for the, optimal growth, we need to have pluses, minuses, and equals. And that is somebody to look up to, somebody who has attained what, the life that we're aiming for. And then we have our peers, colleagues, and then we have those people that we're teaching, And so it's like, that's when I learn the most, is whenever I'm teaching somebody else something that I learned, because I really got to know my shit. I got to know what I'm talking about. And, but at the same time, I know that I still need to be reaching out to these other folks. So I'm very particular as to who I include in my circle, my tribe, and we kind of feed off of each other. No matter what level you're at, you can always learn. You can always, even if you are one of the minuses, you can provide value to those that you're learning from, those mentors, just by asking good questions, And so I preach that all the time, and I'm hyper curious, and so I'm constantly asking questions. And if I don't get the answer that I'm looking for, I don't blame the other person. I blame myself for not asking better questions. So if you want to find information, if you want to find more knowledge and you're not getting it, figure out what questions you need to be asking. So I think a good example of that from the interview with Buster was whenever he was laying in that prison cell, and he had to do a lot of soul searching and really figure out how he got to where he was, why he was in the situation he was in, and it had to do with the people that he was around, and I know he was not blaming anybody. I think he even mentioned that in the interview. He's not blaming those people, but whoever we're around, it's the law of attraction. You become what you think about. You become who you're around, and so by realizing that, by having the awareness to know that was a big part of what got him where he was, he knew he needed to make a change, and so he started associating with those people outside of that environment. And so that's something that is totally in our control. Consciously, we can make that decision to start talking to those people we may have just seen in passing, or we may not know that well, but Buster mentioned this. Those people are very willing to sit down and share their time, and so all it takes is just simply reaching out, asking questions to those guys, and so I'm glad he shared that story. For a lot of people that may be hard to do, whether the ego gets in the way of it. But like I said, he was just very genuine and vulnerable in that conversation. And so I appreciate the fact that he brought that up. I know a lot of people got something out of that. They learned from his story. And so if you're in a dark place, or you're struggling, or you're going through some challenges, whatever it is, again, I'm not preaching. I'm not perfect. I'm still working on all this shit myself. So I don't want it to sound like that. But I have learned along the way, when I align myself with those people that are aligned with me and what I know is true to me, it feels right, and so that is something that I've leaned pretty hard into here in the last year, is trusting my intuition, and aligning myself with those people. And so going back to Buster, I know that was his path, that got him out of that rut, out of that dark place. And so again, I'm glad that he shared that. One thing that I was surprised about was that Buster was into the practice of meditation. And so for me, that's something that I got into, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years ago, and have consistently. I dabbled in it for a while, and I told myself I couldn't do it, and let the mental chatter get in the way of that. But consistently, I would say I've been doing that for about 2 to 3 years. And so it was really cool to hear him mention that and how it's helped him, to quieten his mind. Because really, to be able to listen to the whispers of our intuition, we've got to have a still mind. Like, we've got to be able to sit in a room by ourselves with no noise, no TV, no phone calls, shut out the world, essentially shut out all of our senses, and just and get quiet. I saw a quote the other day. It said, "Silence is not empty. It has all the answers." And that's very true. No matter what your religious beliefs are, it doesn't matter to me. There is a higher power. I call it God. And so to be able to tap in and have that conversation with God every single day, again, has been a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I use that as a beacon. It guides me through my life. And yes, of course, I veer, I get off track at times, but I have a moment of stillness, and then I just get back on track, And so meditation for me has been a game changer, and because that's something we can control. We have absolutely total control over that decision. And what that does, again, like I said in the interview, my goal is not to be the best meditator, but my goal is to get my mind quiet, because there's going to be shit that happens in my life that I cannot control. And so how do I react to those situations? Do I react to those situations? Am I aware of my emotions? Am I feeling angry? And that's the other thing. It's not like I'm saying I'm going through life like not feeling anything. That's not the goal either, because I'm going to feel anger. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to feel all of these things, but am I aware of them? Or am I just on autopilot? And that's something that I think meditation's helped me do, is to become more aware of how I think, why I think the way I do. And so, but Buster's no different. Going back to his conversation, it's allowed him to do those things. And he mentioned some of the challenges that come up in his life and how he's able to react to those things differently now, having that awareness. That has kind of been my theme for the past few years. I was in a very dark place for a long time. Got separated from my wife and did a lot of soul searching, and that was the one thing that I realized was there is no destination. We're not going to get to a place in life where we can just say we've made it and we can quit doing everything and we're going to be happy. Doesn't exist. Spoiler alert, not going to happen. And so when I realized that, it was just it's not like it just happened overnight. It took a lot of journaling, a lot of meditating, a lot of asking questions, and so nobody else, yes, I pulled things from different people, but nobody else could answer my questions. It had to come from me. It had to come from within. And so the key to all of that learning was gratitude. I wasn't grateful for the things that I had. I always wanted more. And so when I realized that, as simple and as silly as that may be, some of you guys may be sitting there watching that like, well, yeah, of course. Yeah, we know this. But for me, I'm a slow learner, and so it took me a little while to figure it out. But now I try to find the gratitude in any situation that happens, because I feel like how we give gratitude for anything is how we give gratitude for everything. And so to not judge a situation as good or bad, but be grateful for it, because we may not know why we're going through this situation at that time. 3 years from now, we may look back and say, oh, shit, I'm so glad that happened. Even if you ended up in a car wreck and went to the hospital, you don't know. You may meet your future wife in the hospital. She may be the nurse, So we never know what's good or bad. Time will tell. But what I've learned from it is I try to be in a state of gratitude in any situation that I'm in. And so I think for Buster, it was no different. I think he was very grateful looking back on that night in the cell room. I'm not going to say that was his rock bottom. I don't know that we ever hit rock bottom. I don't know what that would be, but I know he mentioned it. I don't know if it was on camera or off camera, but he was very grateful for that night because it really shifted the direction of his life and the path that he went down. So guys, I'm curious to know what resonated with you from the Buster Frierson interview. Leave a comment below. If you haven't seen the interview, go over to YouTube, check it out. The Converse Cowboy, Season 2, Episode 2 with Buster Frierson.